So I think it's helpful to reframe a little bit about what boundaries are, because I think we all have some misconceptions around it. And I think a lot of us think of boundaries as walls or ultimatums or a way to maybe push people away because we don't really know how to do it otherwise. But healthy boundaries are not about breaking up or shutting down or pushing people out. Boundaries are more about finding more suitable ways to stay connected. And that includes not leaking your energy. And that's a big one, I think, for all of us. They're about clarity, which I think we all struggle sometimes in relationship in being able to be honest and clear and state what it is that is okay with us and what is not. And the goal really is boundaries being bridges, not barriers. I think the problem is that we live in a world of extremes right now. And I think people are either perfect or they're toxic. Toxic is such a common word that I hear. And I think it's this sense of like you're either all in or you're completely out. And anything that's inconvenient, anything that's uncomfortable, anything that's imperfect can be construed as toxic. It might just be annoying, right? Some people, all of us, frankly, are imperfect. And some people can be annoying and messy and frustrating. But that's okay. That's not toxic. That's human. How do we then create a relationship and a connection through boundaries that help us stay in the relationship with those imperfections and messiness and and annoyances without abandoning ourselves or the other, quite honestly. People need to I think hold space for one another to help in the learning and the building the muscle of what it is to hold a boundary, to set a boundary, and then to honor one. It's all a practice for each and every one of us. I mean, none of us, I think, like necessarily to have boundaries being, put on a relationship. That's a hard thing for us. But the idea here is I think for all of us to be honest about boundaries are not easy to set. And yet they really set the stage for the relationships that we most desire, which is connection, being seen, being honored, being treasured, cherished, all the things that I think are possible, especially when we are clear about, what is true for us. What's a yes, what's a no. So I think it's a great question to ask yourself, what boundary would allow me to stay here? And where am I leaking energy by saying yes when I actually mean no? Something important in light of that question or those questions is that boundaries are not one size fit all. And I think that's important as well, because what we see as a boundary with one person might be different with another. And that could depend on the nature of the relationship, and it could depend on age and stage, whatever it may be. But the boundary you set with a coworker or a roommate or a sibling or a parent might be not the same as the boundary you set with, an acquaintance. It's just how it goes. We're your teenager. But some boundaries need flexibility and others need firmness. And so I don't think that there is a mutual exclusivity to this. And here's where we need, I think, to get really honest. Sometimes what we call a boundary is actually just fear. And what I mean by that is you can ask yourself these questions to assess, is this fear or is this really a boundary? And so it could be, am I trying to stay safe or am I staying true? That distinction in itself, I think, helps you get clarity and know what's the driving force behind this desire to set a boundary. A healthy boundary is always going to help you feel more open, not more defended. And that's an important as well, I think, distinction to just notice if you're feeling defensive and defended versus open and expansive, that's a telltale sign that you're probably not setting a healthy boundary. This really is the heart of boundaries, and staying true to ourselves so we can stay connected to the people we care about is really what this healthy boundaries and what it represents is all about. And that's the cool thing about boundaries, healthy relationships, right? We know that if we're not setting healthy boundaries, we can lose the the capacity to be truly connected with another because we're operating from a facade. We're operating from lack of integrity. And that can be a real problem in relationships. So healthy boundaries, I think we all want to get better at those because they make our relationships better. So for today's conversation, I just want to give you three quick reflection questions to take to maybe your journal or just hold in your heart, whatever is preferred, whatever feels most true right now. And the first question is, where am I leaking energy in a relationship? And take a moment and you can think about that. And then what boundary would help me stay connected with more ease? And then the third question is, does this boundary come from clarity and love or fear and control?